I just want to add, so firstly, some of my previous prediction addendums, whatever, have been a bit too precise. I mean, in the sense that I sort of have given a precise like m- datum, but I don't necessarily expect it to be that. I would just say that that might be like perhaps the most expected or most ideal, but I don't really. So, for instance, I said she's from Saudi Arabia, but that doesn't have to be that, right? It could be from any Arab country, maybe just any Middle Eastern Muslim country, I guess. Um, and so likewise, the height, like I gave these sort of specific height amounts, but basically, I would say there's anything taller than me. So that's the first thing I just want to clarify is that like fundamentally, there's not, I don't really mind that much about the specificities. And then, well, the next thing is regarding the date. So the latest thing I said, so you had lots of false dates. So obviously, obviously I'm not just getting everything right. I'm not able to just predict the future like a proper clairvoyant, but I mean, obviously that's as expected, right? Because um, everything depends on the Gorth, and the Gorth often misleads. In fact, usually misleads. And so I was saying, so the latest date I gave was for Christmas, and so I'm thinking instead it might be more around the Epiphany, which is on the 6th of January, which is celebrated as Christmas, as the Nativity of Jesus, um, as the birth of Jesus on the 6th of January in like the East, like several Eastern sort of Orthodox churches. Um, so I think it could be that, and the reason for that is well, partly because it's also like another kind of Christmas, right? And also because the full moon there, and so I was saying, so I like the Christmas thing because it was sort of just after the new moon, and so the Epiphany is around the full moon. So the new moon made sense because sort of like a new beginning, and it also happens right around, well, it's the solstice, right? But here's the summer solstice, and then but the main northern hemisphere is the winter solstice. Then the question is like, does the moon, is the moon in line with more where I am now, or is it line more with the general world population? So if it's more general, and then so like obviously right now it's going to be the summer solstice here, but it's the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere. So to correlate with the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, it would be the new moon. So that would be for Christmas. But then if it correlates with the summer solstice here in the southern hemisphere, then um, it would be the full moon. Um, and obviously the full moon is sort of more interesting a thing, right? And sort of you sort of imagine like some sort of romantic kind of thing, and there's a full moon, and the new moon, well, there isn't anything. So um, and so to me the full moon does make more sense from that, and like um yeah, like a sort of nice first night together under the full moon, that seems nice. Whereas the new moon, well, okay, you get like you see the stars better because there isn't the moonlight, but um I still think that the like it makes probably more sense the full moon. And the other thing is I'm still, I've had COVID for the past month because I get these I have always have COVID, and it just keeps reactivating often, and it lasts for almost 2 months, and I'm still kind of worn down from the COVID, and it takes a long time for me to recover. So Christmas is it's in a week from now, so the Epiphany is almost 3 weeks, so it makes more sense for me to have a bit more time to recover. Um, so there's also that, and also finally the again I've been talking about these Podokawa things because I think they're pretty cool, and again it's sort of yeah it's part of the, just like with the moon stuff. I think it's sort of it's part of the sort of nice natural stuff events happening, and they are blooming now, but some of them are just barely starting to bloom, and I don't think in a week from now it's going to be at the maximum overall yet. So I think around the Epiphany is going to be more like around the maximum. I think it's a bit late this year compared to average. I think on average it's more like around Christmas the maximum. So, um, as a result, because of that too, I think it makes more sense on the Epiphany. Um, and so and it's the 6th, and the full moon here is going to be the 7th. So like within let's say 2 days of the 6th or 7th, I would expect that sort of to happen. Maybe like maybe from the 5th to maybe 8th, 9th, something like that. So the moon is at least full-ish, and it's also like again, like I said, it's the Epiphany. Um, and well, I guess probably the 7th would the 7th would make the most sense because that's the actual full moon day. And then, like, if it's, again, if we're celebrating Jesus who was born at night, then here, when it's during the day on the 7th, then there is the night from the 6th to the 7th, in Israel. So that would kind of make sense. And otherwise, the 6th, because then it's just, like, before then, and so, yeah. So, centered on 6th and 7th, but maybe a few days off of that, like, yeah, 4 to 9. And if it doesn't happen by the 9th, then I just sort of, uh, like, then I'm gonna stop. I think I've done enough predictions. I've gotten all of them wrong so far, and so I've started, I started this back in late March. So um, yeah, this is gonna be presumably my last one, and so we'll see.